All right, so in this one, now I'm going to start adding color to my landscape. I'm probably going to break this whole process up into several videos because to actually like paint and record, it would take quite some time. So it's going to be a lot of smaller videos. So in this video, I think I'm going to try and tackle just the sky. So here I have my palette of all my colors. And then I also have another plate because I'm kind of running out of room on that one. So another plate to actually mix. I have my color grid. I know I didn't make y'all do this, but I have one to help me when I'm actually trying to figure out colors. And I also have like what I did in the video previously with you guys. Hopefully you have something like this. Maybe you've even gone a little bit further and really mixed your colors. Maybe you've even created this grid. That is totally fine too. All right, so I have this off to the side. I have my cup of water. I have my brushes. I have my paper towel, and I have my reference. All right, so why am I going to start with the sky? Because that's the furthest thing away from us. All right, just like in your underpainting, you started with the sky, hopefully. So I got to get all my stuff situated. So I'm probably going to be dealing a lot with blue and white. I'm probably going to be dealing a lot with cobalt blue and white with my sky. All right, so I already have some of my values with my underpainting down. So again, I'm going to use primarily my cobalt blue, and it's darker over here, so I'm going to apply my cobalt blue. I don't like that brush. I need a smaller one. And again, so the thing is when you're applying this acrylic paint, it's kind of thin, and so it can be a little frustrating. So it dries really fast, so that's a nice thing. So you may, or you will, let it dry and then apply more layers on top of it so it can become opaque. Okay, so I'm just gonna lightly put in this cobalt blue up here. And I'm painting horizontally because my sky is horizontal. It's not a vertical thing, so I always want to reiterate the shape or the form of something with my brush strokes. Maybe over here it's getting a little bit more lighter, so maybe I'll start to put in white with my cobalt blue. This is kind of frustrating because I'm trying to get everything so that you guys can see everything. So I know it's kind of hard. You can't see my image now, my reference. So, but as I'm painting, I have my reference right in front of me. It's not in the next room. It's not on the floor. Your reference for everything you do should always be right by you. You're always looking back and forth to it. So now I'm going to come in and I see how I have another brush. I have the brush that I had my lighter value on that I mixed white with. And now I have a brush that I have just cobalt with. So now I'm trying to feather that in and get it to blend. And I'm going to come back here. So see how this burnt sienna that was darker over here, that pure burnt sienna, see how that has worked and made this corner over here a darker blue. See how that is working, how it's helping darken your values. So that's a good thing. How about I do this? I'll get this down, guys. Also, I'm talking as I'm painting. Most people don't. So this is a new thing for me too, to like be explaining every little thing that I'm doing and trying to find words. Because honestly, when I paint or I do art, I just do it. So this is new for me, and it's just interesting. And then I'm looking in like 3 places at a time. It's like I'm looking at my canvas, I'm looking at my reference picture, and then I'm also actually looking up on my laptop to see how you guys are seeing it too, to make sure you can see what's going on. So it's like I'm looking at like 3 different places and it's kind of hurting my head sometimes. So I always have several brushes. So I'm trying to get what I just put down previously to blend with what this cobalt blue is doing. And I don't have to worry about having like a super defined edge here where my cloud is going to be, because in a little bit, I'm going to clean that up when I put my white, pure white on top of it in a little bit. I don't have to worry about that right now. And I really don't have to worry about the sky blending perfectly. It's a process. And see how I'm not glopping the paint on the canvas? I'm lightly putting it on there because I'm going to build it up. If you're glopping it on there, it means you're probably doing it wrong. If you're overusing your paint or like running out of your paint quickly, it means you're doing it wrong. You're putting too much paint down. And so see how that lighter burnt sienna value is behind my white now. So it's helping darken that blue or lighten that white. I'm going to lighten that blue some more, and I'm going to bring more white into it and soften that. Got a little bit in my tree area. It's okay, because guess what? My tree is going to go on top of that blue. It's okay. I'm going to clean it up later. So it takes a while for this white to become opaque and layer. So you have to let it dry. You have to come back and layer it, just pure white on top. Maybe the shape of my clouds turns into something else. Maybe it's not the exact shape of what is actually up there. That is totally fine. kind of like I'm finding the local color. My local or main color is going to be this cobalt blue. So it's kind of like I'm putting down that main local color area in the area first. And then I come in with my whites or my lighter blues to then blend on top of it. And we're going to use that idea of a local color throughout the painting. You start off with like your main value, your main color, and then you either go lighter or darker from there. It's really important to have brushes that you like when you're doing this, because if you don't like the brushes that you're using, it's going to get kind of frustrating. I'm not a fan of this one right now. I went ahead and picked up a different one just because my other two are kind of have the colors on it that I want them to be. So again, it's like I put down that local color of that blue, but now I'm going to sprinkle in the white to soften it and lighten it up and blend it. And if you haven't figured out by now, you've got to move fast when you're working with acrylic paint, especially if you're trying to get stuff to blend, because it dries so quickly. So you can't leave it alone for 20 minutes and then come back to an area and expect it to be still able to blend. So you kind of gotta commit time when you're doing this, or an area. You're like, okay, well maybe I'll just tackle the sky for right now. Tackle it. Don't do it halfway and then think that you're gonna come back and be like, oh, well now it doesn't blend. And you can't complain about it either, because you gotta commit time to it. You gotta commit time with everything that you do. So you have to actually put forth effort and try it. The only way you're going to learn something is by actually doing it and making a mistake. We make mistakes all the time. I was nowhere as good of a drawer, painter, anything as I am, back in college as I am today. Unfortunately, I draw or I do art every day, so I'm constantly practicing, but that's how you get better at anything. You practice, you make mistakes, and that's how you learn from your mistakes. Or maybe you don't learn from them. There's that too. But hopefully you do. See how you can hear my paintbrush working on my canvas, and that's how I work. I'm not glopping the paint on, I'm like moving it around, and you can hear my brush like actually like working and doing the work and the blending. Sometimes I barely have any paint on my brush. And like, it's kind of like whatever is left over on my paintbrush is like I'm adding a little bit. And then I come back. And I blend into it. Maybe that brush should have a little bit of white on it. We'll see what happens here. Maybe I need a little bit of white. You can even use your fingers to kind of soften and blend values. You might see me do that from time to time. It's like right now, this brush that I'm holding, it's pretty dry. So I'm like using it to like soften what I just added and feather it in. Right, so now I think my white up there at the top is kind of dry. So now I'm gonna come back and plop some in. And really get it to be white. It's really white up there at the top of my clouds. Stop moving, canvas, stop it. So, and the thing is, when we come back to school next week, a lot of you are going to be doing your painting. And I'm not going to be touching your painting or your materials. So I hope you understand that by now. This is still going to be very independent, and you doing this, you figuring this out, and you're very capable. Because I'm not touching your materials. You're going to have to be watching my videos and figuring this out. But you're smart, you're capable, but it's going to take effort and commitment on your part. And that's just how it's going to be this year. No whining, figuring out yourself, and you can do it. And that's the thing. When I went to college, and here I go ranting again, but nobody taught me how to paint, which maybe it wasn't like that's not a good thing. I'm not saying that's a great thing. Like I took my painting classes, and it's kind of like they already like expected you to know how to paint. I mean, they didn't even tell me about like color theory or mixing, like everything that I just did in the previous video. They didn't tell me any of that. So maybe it means I didn't have great instructors. That was probably part of it too. But I had to figure it all out by myself. And I mean, trial and error. I mean, at least now you're going to have my videos to watch, and then you can always go on YouTube and find supplementary videos of other people doing paintings. They're all over the place. They're out there. Sometimes it's nice to just watch other people paint and how they apply colors. I mean, that's learning too. I do that from time to time. Because I'm always learning too. I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly changing and evolving. That's what we all are. All right, I think I'm gonna call this video good. I'm still gonna keep working on it and doing finishing touches, but it's been about 20 minutes. All right, so that is my sky, the beginning of my sky.